Well folks, welcome back to the workshop, and this time to a little bit of a mix-up. Luckily not my mix-up, but one I have to sort out. This is a wee DeWalt trimmer that came in for a repair before and it wasn't worth fixing. This is the DCW600. Came in for a repair and it was too expensive to fix. We thought it might have been the switch because these can sometimes get dirty, packed out with sawdust. If you cut back this rubber you can access the switch and clean it out with contact cleaner. I don't dismantle these anymore to actually clean the switch because there's too much labour involved. Cut this off or cut it back, clean it out and see if that works. If it's just the switch, a contact cleaner will get it running. But this one wasn't that. This one's actually the controller. She's not doing anything. One wee quick flash and she shuts down. If you turn it, it keeps turning back to the same location. So that's a Hall effect sensor gone inside the control part, or actually on the motor itself. So not worth fixing. Too much labour involved in actually stripping the whole thing down and replacing electronic parts inside. Only way to fix it is to replace the whole motor unit, and that's where the mix-up comes in. So I wasn't involved, but the boss, the owner of the shop, tried to do this customer, who was a good customer, a favour and try to get it replaced for as good a price as possible. And he was telling the supplier the crack with this not being worth fixing with the motor unit. And somewhere along the lines there was a mix-up. The boss thought he was getting a price and ordering a new body, one of these here without batteries or any accessories, just this on its own for good money. But what he got was this, the motor unit. So somewhere along the conversation there was a mix-up and the supplier thought he was talking about the motor unit for this, for good money, to get this up and running. Now, the customer doesn't really care. He just needs a trimmer and wants it fixed. So he doesn't care if he's getting this one fixed with a new motor or a brand new machine, just as long as it runs. And to be honest, it doesn't really make much odds anyway, because the insides of this is basically everything inside of it. That's a whole new motor anyway. So as long as he's got something, he's happy. I should have took that off first. So this is just a wee lock for your spindle. Take that off first, you need that off, and you need the nut off. Obviously they don't come with the aluminium housing. This is just the whole motor complete unit. And this is why I really don't really like these here things, because like I say, these switches can sometimes get dirty and get jammed up, and cleaning's the only way to do it, because you can't replace it, because the actual switch part of this comes with the complete motor unit. Now you can buy the speed controller separately. That's on a wee connector, so if the speed starts going bad on you or starts changing all the time, you can just replace this. But you can't replace the switch on its own. Now this isn't a repair I would normally do, because it's just not worth doing, to be quite honest. The price of this part is more beneficial to just replace the whole machine. So generally we just don't do it. And it isn't exactly easy to do either. I'll go through this here, how do you actually swap it. But basically it's the same as cleaning out the switch if we're going to dismantle the machine. Problem is, this here, this is your wee LED light display. And it's connected in up here on this here little wiring loom. That's hooked on to this, and it slides up. Because it's hooked on here, it slides up with the motor. So the more you push the motor out, the more this stays behind and just breaks the actual wires here. So it makes it a little bit of a torture to take it out. You have to knock this out bit by bit and then walk up the LEDs as well to get this out. Or if you have some sort of jig assembly, you can put two punches on here and actually press it out on the LEDs. But that's a little bit more risky, because if this jams, you're just going to break this plastic. The LEDs themselves are actually quite heavy duty. They're nice big ceramic, or not ceramic, acrylic LEDs, and you can actually hit them quite hard. They'll not just break on you. So to get this old one out of here, you have to knock this out and knock out the LEDs at the same time. Before you do that, you have to take out this here nut. So again, lock the spindle. Take that nut off as well. Now you should be able to just knock out this your motor, push it up a little bit, and then get a punch or something to just push these LEDs up as well. This is the slow bit. So you're going to tap this out, and the LEDs as well. This is what the time consuming bit is. Imagine if you're just trying to clean the switch out and you have to carefully do all this here just to get the motor out. But we don't have to be too careful here because this motor has been completely replaced. Set that back just in case I accidentally hit it. First time I done this, just made the mistake of knocking this clean out and not bothering with the LEDs. And of course had to go back with the soldering iron and fix them, fix the leads. You'd nearly think they don't want you to open this. Of course, even when you get to there, you can't just go ahead and pull it out because you'll still break them wires. You just wonder why I prefer the Makita. That out. Here we go. So that's the bit we need. That bearing's still good as well. Didn't even break the LEDs because we were careful. Not that it matters. Replacing the whole thing anyway. You have to get this out to open this. There's wee metal rollers or pins along the outside as well, just to lock this here together so it doesn't spin. And the main problem with this was just that it's out of warranty. Wouldn't have been a problem tapping in. This had, I think, the 3-year warranties put onto it, but she's a 2021. So she's just too far out of warranty. Just take note of the way everything goes on in order to get it all back in again, because sometimes just the wiring loom can sit in a certain way. The other awkward thing about this is the switch is actually held in by this. There's no other reason we had to dismantle the whole thing to get into it. You first have to pull this out to take the switch out. Which is a little spring clip. It's pushed in from the top. So you have to unhook it up here first before you can get it out. And that all has to be replaced. Hall effect sensors are down on here. They look okay. One of them must have gone bad. See them 3 boys there, just at the bottom of the board. 3 down there, and they pick up the position of this here rotor. There's a little tacho in the back of here, and they read that, and it gives feedback into the controller to tell the motor how fast to run and how fast it is running. If one of them doesn't work, it's not getting correct feedback, and thinks it's either not moving or running too fast. So it knows there's a problem. It starts up, realizes there's something wrong, and just shuts back down again. Basically, just do one turn or half a turn and just keep going back to the same position again, and it'll not work. If that happens, you have to replace the whole lot. So just stick that back in again, just to keep them together. So get rid of all that. I'll give this a quick wee clean down and clean the bench, and we'll get this one put on. Now that's it cleaned out and ready to reassemble. Now, like I say, ordinarily I wouldn't actually be repairing this, replacing these things, because they're just too expensive. To buy this online, you're talking about €200. 250 would probably buy you the body only of this here machine, so it just wouldn't really be worth it. Plus the new ones come with a new warranty, so you could register that for 3 years. It's more beneficial. This here just isn't exactly worth it, to be quite honest with you. It's only worth it now because my boss just done a deal with the supplier, so he's putting in an order for machines anyway. He just got them to add this on at a good price. That's the only reason this is really working out. Ordinarily, any other time, it just wouldn't really be worth it. So you can use the old one to match up to see which way this goes on. Yeah, it looks right enough. They might just need to be up a little bit more. And the switch then has this little cutout just here. That's actually sliding onto the body here, so that has to be the right way around. So that's facing this side, so this needs to be the same. So it needs to be that way around. So the awkward bit is getting the switch in first. Get that in position and lock it in with that wee piece of plastic at the top. It just isn't easy to do because the speed controller is just in the way. There ain't much space to get on it, to get into it. Get it on the position and then slide this up from underneath. Long way round, typical. Should have been that way. That's better. Slides in a lot easier too when you put it on right. So next hassle is just getting the rest on. Controller's not too bad. It's just getting battery retainer in with this little spring. Most people don't know what this bit is. A little piece of plastic with a spring in the end of it. That's just a little foot basically. It's just to give the battery retainer a wee bit of tension back here. Just slides onto the retainer and onto the housing. It's on most DeWalt tools. That sits there. Your speed controller. Which way will that be sitting? Must be that way. It just sits on top. That then has to twist around. This little leg here in the body. That's what's actually holding in this little connector for your LED lights. So it twists around and then pushes up. how it should be sitting. Now, before we finish this, get these little pins back in. This is the awkward bit. You're going to have to keep tensioning this now to stop these dropping out. They're sitting there. Should be able to put these on afterwards. Do I have the room? Maybe not. I don't. I have to just take that off and fit it before. Now, screw these on. This body should just close up nice and tight. There should be no gaps before you actually have to screw it together. Now, next actual motor unit ready. It's a bit strange that it comes with the armature as well, because technically that's not really needed. Could easily have reused the older one and actually kept the cost down, but that comes with the armature as well, this whole motor unit. It's not separate from the actual stator and controller. You have to buy this as one piece. That's why it's so expensive. If that was separate, or at least keep the cost down a little bit, maybe a quarter less. Now, make sure you're putting this on right. These two big screws are over here and a single one this side. Those are going to be lining up and get onto these channels here. Well, actually, there's not even channels. There's the other awkward bit about it. There's nothing to guide this on. You have to be careful as you put this thing in. You have to slide it on and line up your armature under the bearing. It's not that tight a fit. It slides on fairly easily. But as you're pushing this on, there's nothing to stop it from just twisting round and going off center so that the screw holes miss. You have to just push it on very carefully and just constantly keep an eye on the screws to make sure they're going into the right location. See what I mean? It's already shifted. If there was ever a tool I would recommend you never open, it's one of these things. They're an absolute pain. And just keeping a constant eye on this here screw, make sure it's going up to the hole. And it's starting to go off center. If it starts going off, make sure you just give it a slight twist as you're pushing down. And you just need to make sure this armature goes in as well. It has to line up to the hole. We got lucky that time. It actually lined up correctly. Put these in together. Make sure it goes down tight, just in case it's not down fully and it's just pulling up on one side. If there's a big gap here and you just push them with this, you can more than likely crack the aluminium here. Put it on bit by bit all the way around to make sure it actually closes on. It should be her up and running already. So at least we know it works. First thing, we'll just get this little lock button back on so we can lock this again. It just sits there. This little cover goes over the top. The cover holds it on. The two screws hold on the cover. This wee button does get packed out an awful lot as well with dust. If you ever go to lock your router to take off the base or take off the bit and it's not locking, or if the button's not getting on, just take out these two screws and pull that assembly out. You'll find it absolutely jam solid with sawdust underneath. Clean the sawdust and that'll actually fix it. Last thing is tighten up this nut to pull down the armature. Tighten that on. And then we can put on, call it nut. And that'll be this little trimmer, ready for the customer again. Might not be a new machine, but it's a brand new motor and it's not going to cost them as much as a new one. That's it, folks. That is how you replace the whole motor unit and a DeWalt trimmer DCW600. Wouldn't be one I'd recommend to do, but that's how you do it if you ever get one for cheap enough, because the price of this on its own is nearly the same price as this anyway as a body only, so it just doesn't really pay. But that's how you strip it if you ever need to get into it, or if you ever want to replace this here instead of buying a new one. Anyway, folks, that's it. That's just a wee quick DeWalt repair for you today. As always, if you're enjoying the videos, make sure to give us a wee like down the bottom. And if you want to help out the channel, hit that subscribe button as well. But till next time, folks, I'll chat to you later.